So thank you everyone for attending our masterclass. This is going to be so exciting. It is about our Alchemy Forever Brightening Peel. And I know from registrations that we have exclusively skincare professionals on the line. Some of you are familiar with the peel, some are not. This will be a helpful webinar, I think, for both groups. A couple quick housekeeping things before I introduce my beautiful panelist, Jenna. Everyone is muted and all of your videos are off. We are recording this webinar. You will receive the recording link after the fact. It will also be available on YouTube. So you'll be able to share with your estheticians and your team members if you so desire. And in theory, you should be able to ask questions in the Q&A. The chat doesn't work for webinars, but the Q&A should work. So we will get to as many of your questions as we can. So let me start by officially introducing you to Jenna Walsh. She is a master esthetician at Heyday and has been working with Heyday since their very first shop opened in New York about 7 years ago. You may know Heyday as a chain of facial shops focused exclusively on skincare, facial care to be specific, with locations in New York, LA, Philly, the DMV region, and rapidly growing. So thank you, Jenna. You know, we've done a masterclass together, I think a year ago or a year and a half ago now, time flies, but you've worked with so many of our products. I know you've used the peel repeatedly. You also have experience with other beautiful brands. So thank you so much for being here and for joining us once again.
Thank you for having me. It's a pleasure to be here. My goodness. It's peel season, everyone. Like, this is the best time to host a class like this. It's time to boost our skin, think about how we can make major progress with our clients now that the sun is less strong. I'm so happy to be talking about this peel in particular. Thank you for having me.
Oh, wonderful. You're right, it is peel season. And I want to talk specifically about our brightening peel. So what we're going to talk about is what it is, who it's for, what it does, and how to use it. So I will start with what it is. And if you will allow me to share my screen. 1 second here. Just so that you have everything in front of you as I walk you through what the brightening peel is. So it is a professional only product, and it is a blend. As you see, there are 5 different acids. You have the concentrations on the screen: citric acid for 3.5%, lactic acid for 3.5%, glycolic acid for 3.5%, mandelic acid for 1.5%, and salicylic acid for 1%. So the complete or total acid concentration comes to about 13%. The peel typically has a pH of right about 3. So there's a couple things to discuss here in terms of why this blend of acids and why this 13%. So to start with the percentage, because of the blend of acids, the real math doesn't really work. So yes, it is 13%, but most people who receive the peel, and Jenna, I imagine you've had this type of commentary, suggest that it feels a little bit like a 40% glycolic in terms of the tingling sensation and just what it feels like. So don't think that because of the 13%, this is an extremely soft peel. It certainly is a superficial peel, of course, but it packs a punch because of the benefits of these different acids and because of the, let's say the fact that 1 + 1 is 3 in the world of acids. So because of this multitude of acids, we have a lot of different benefits for the skin. Of course, we have exfoliation with glycolic acid, so a deeper exfoliation than you would have, with the at-home scrub. The salicylic acid is particularly suited to helping with breakouts, blemishes, and acne. Of course, we have antioxidant and anti-aging effects. We have a really powerful effect on uneven pigmentation. This is both mandelic acid and citric acid related. And then we have a tightening effect as well. So the blend of acids is what gives it all of these multiple benefits. I also wanted to address a question that we very frequently get, which is the source of these acids. So these acids are all lab made. They are synthetic versions of some of these acids that might come from natural sources. You know, we are a vegan brand, and yes, this peel is vegan. And one of the questions I always get is, how can there be lactic acid if the peel is vegan? Because in nature, lactic acid comes from milk, but we formulate all of these acids in the lab. So you can say that the peel is vegan. We also are a nut-free brand, and this is also true about this peel, despite the fact that we use mandelic acid, which again, in nature comes from almonds, but in this peel is made synthetically. So I wanted to start by saying that these are always some of the questions that we get, and you know, all of the other let's say clean certifications that we have apply to this product as well. So we are, I mentioned vegan, we're gluten-free, we are nut-free, we are cruelty-free certified by PETA and Leaping Bunny. The one caveat here, which Jenna, I know you'll address in a minute, is not for pregnant or nursing women because of the salicylic acid. But let's talk a little bit about benefits. So what have, you know, I've used the peel on myself, which I should not do because I'm not an esthetician. I certainly have never applied it to anybody else, but you have applied this peel to so many guests in the treatment room. What are the types of results that you typically see?
Yeah, I mean, this peel has been in my back bar now for 7 days, and I don't see it going anywhere, because when I think back to working with clients and the ones that I've been on like significant skincare journeys with, where we're really tackling major skincare concerns, acne, a lot of hyperpigmentation, drastic signs of aging that are a concern of clients. I think back to a few specific clients, and I have this peel to thank. There are so many occasions where clients come to me with a laundry list of skincare concerns. Usually it's not just one. And I sit there in my facial chair and I'm like, all right, well, am I going to do a salicylic acid peel? Am I going to do a glycolic peel? Am I going to do a lactic peel? I don't have to choose anymore, because this Alchemy Forever brightening peel is like the melting pot of peels. So probably 8 to 9 times out of 10, when clients come to me with their concerns, like, this is a very easy answer for what is going to tackle X, Y, and Z on their list. And I'd say at heyday, the most dramatic results I've seen, like I mentioned, acne clients for sure, major clearing and brightening of that post-inflammatory hyperpigmentation, and major results for those clients coming in with significant sun damage, the discoloration, the brightening that we see, of course, results within one treatment, but even better results when making this a part of a peel series of sorts. And I'd say that as estheticians and even as clients, like, we love to focus on these like big ingredients, these like hot topics, the acids, but it's not lost upon me that the anti-inflammatories and antioxidants that Alchemy Forever formulates into the peel are just as important, because as an esthetician, and if anyone on here has worked on skin long enough, you will know that inflammation ties back to nearly every skin concern. So hyperpigmentation, that's an inflammatory response. Breakouts, they worsen and get very angry with inflammation. The modern world we live in causes inflammation because of stress and pollution. So because there is that European blueberry mixed in with these like powerhouse acids, it's a really beautiful balance of a like heavy hitting treatment for the skin and a really therapeutic treatment at the same time. So you get results without increased sensitivity, and it's great for everyone. It's just, again, 9 times out of 10, the peel that I reach for.
Thank you for highlighting the European blueberry. It was on my slide and I skipped over it, but it is, as you know, our signature ingredient for so many reasons, anti-aging and antioxidant. It's like the super berry, and it is also highly anti-inflammatory and has wonderful vasoconstricting properties. So it helps to quell redness, to calm down redness. And oftentimes with a peel, you're going to experience a little bit of redness. And so that European blueberry is really there to help balance that. And you're right, inflammation is rooted in all or most skin concerns, actually most health concerns beyond the skin. And specifically at the level of the skin, it's also a pro-ager. So the more inflammation you have going on, the faster your skin is actually aging, which of course is exactly the opposite of what we're trying to achieve. So thank you for that. You mentioned the peel is good for everyone. So one of the things that I love about this peel is its versatility. You know, we talked a little bit about the versatility of the ingredients, and like you said, you don't have to pick between the 5 peels that you have in your room, because in effect you have 5 peels in one. I also love the versatility in terms of who this peel can help. And we talk about all skin tones, which is not always the case for peels. We talk about all skin types. I would love to to go a little bit more in depth in that. We also talk about all ages, of course, and all genders. But in terms of skin tones and skin types, you can do it on the fairest of skins, the darkest of skins. You can do it on thick, congested, very acne prone skin. You can do it on more sensitive skin. You can even do it on rosacea prone skin, as long as there's not an active flare up. The way that we can say that is because of the protocols. And so we use the peel a little bit differently depending on skin type. Do you want to address that for a minute?
Yeah, so going into the protocol and how you will apply it, the first few steps are going to be the same, and then the difference will be how long you leave it on for. But just to kind of highlight also what the peel looks like when you get it, it does come in this box with 20 peels in it, and each one is an individually wrapped peel, which Ada, this is huge. And I can't tell you how much I appreciate having a pre-measured packet, which I know is going to dispense the correct amount, which is also great from a cost perspective, because when you have a big bottle, you pour out way too much usually, and there's waste. And because it has this perforated little spot to tear open, at that point, that's the first time these ingredients are coming into contact with oxygen. So they are at peak potency here. I've never used a peel that went into this level of attention for detail, making it individualized for each use. So what you'll do, you'll open the packet, and I like to dispense it into one of these clear measuring cups. Easy because it's disposable. And you'll dispense it through.
And the texture is kind of like a gel. You're showing it so well right now. So it's not fully liquid, but you can see it's pretty thin in terms of texture.
Yep, and that is also such a plus, because how many estheticians out there have used a peel before where it's super drippy and runny, and that's nerve-wracking when you're applying it on a client's face. So the fact that this is more of like a gel-like consistency, you feel like you have more control. So once you have it dispensed into a cup, you can apply it either with an aesthetic wipe with a gloved hand, or use a brush or peel applicator, but you want to apply it in a quick, thin layer across the entire face. And there is enough in here to bring it down to the neck. And then how long you leave it on for really depends on your client's skin type and skin condition and level of sensitivity. So for your true sensitive skin types, you'll be around 2 to 3 minutes, normal 3 to 5, and oily 5 to 7. Of course, you'll check in with your client along that period of time just to see how they're doing sensation wise. A mild to moderate tingle is perfectly normal, and I'm sure most estheticians will agree that their clients like to feel that tingle. They feel like it's working. So you definitely will get that with this peel, but it's definitely not too much to where you're going to have to be fanning your client or anything. It's a comfortable peel still. And it is neutralized with water, so super simple. I recommend always having a bowl of fresh, cool water next to you. And then I just have on hand cotton rounds. This is my favorite way to remove a peel. You dip them into the fresh water, press them together so that you're not getting any drips. And then saturated, you will just move around the face to make sure that all the peel comes into contact with water to neutralize, throw them out, and then do that again 2 more times. So grab another set of rounds, dip them in water, do another removal, and then 1 more time. It's always good to do at least 3 good swipes across the face. And then of course, check in with your client, make sure that they're not having any level of sensitivity after that 3rd pass. If they are, do 1 more.
Yeah, and I know from having experienced the peel myself many times, to add a couple of things on the level of comfort, I can tell you that I have varied from, let's say, a scale of 1 to 10 of tingling. I've had it where it was a 0 to a 1, where I felt a little bit of cooling, but I would not even really talk about tingling. I've gone up to 3 or 4 if it's, you know, that time of month, or if I've mistreated my skin and it's particularly dry. So even within your same guest, you can have, you know, different sensations the different times that you do the peel, but more than 3 to 4 on a scale of 1 to 10, I think is rare. So I wanted to say that. Also, your application, you know, typically you would start at the top of the forehead and end at the neck, and removing, starting at the neck and end of the forehead, because the skin of the neck, as you know, is more sensitive, it's thinner, and so more sensitive than the skin of our face. And so we want to make sure that the neck has the peel on it for the least amount of everything. And then in terms of removing and neutralizing the peel, if I ever have any leftover sensation of tingling, it's usually right here around the nose, or right here by the ears, which sometimes are the spots that most easily get missed, let's say. But again, as you said, checking in with your client and asking if there's any residual tingling is the way to do it. Let's talk a little bit about do's and don'ts of peel. So this, as I mentioned at the beginning, it's a superficial peel. I guess the do's and don'ts apply to all superficial peels pretty much, right?
Yeah. Pretty simple. Every esthetician should know, but we will review anyway. Some important things to note out of what you should not do. We don't want to steam during the peel. Also, if your client's skin can handle additional exfoliation, and what I mean by that is if they can handle physical exfoliation in addition to this chemical peel, you would want to do any of that before the peel. So apply your gentle facial scrubs, your skin polishes before the peel goes on, not after.
I even have heard, sorry, I've heard a couple of my estheticians who work in more like medical practices, so dermatology or plastic surgery practices, they've done a microderm and then the peel. Now that you will go higher than a 3 to 4 in terms of the tingling sensation, because that is really packing a double punch. And so I would not recommend doing that in a more traditional, you know, esthetician facial shop or day spa. But if any of you listening are in a more medical setting, you know, in a plastic surgery office, even in a dermatology office, people expect not only a little bit of tingle, but they come in with different expectations, both in the what they're going to feel side of things, as well as the results side of things.
Right. I mean, that would be perfect for somebody. I mean, we can all picture that person that we know with that like thick, leathery type skin with significant sun damage, like they've neglected sunscreen their whole life. Like micro followed by this peel would be perfect. One more don't for you all. If you're going to perform a facial massage, you would want to do that before you apply this peel. After would just increase way too much circulation and the client would leave beet red. So let them enjoy that before you apply the peel.
Yeah, I think all of these don'ts relate to doing the most manipulation of the skin prior to the peel, except for extractions. You know, the extractions are really, the peel helps to kind of pull everything to the surface. And so the extraction should be performed after the peel. Also, if you're doing extractions before the peel and then applying the peel again, you know, you'll have more of a sensation of discomfort because you already have maybe some mini wounds from the extraction. So definitely extractions after. And then, you know, the other thing is if you can do this peel really in a 20 30-minute max treatment if you're doing cleansing, which you want to make sure you're cleansing the skin and applying the peel on completely virgin skin. Cleansing, peel neutralization, extractions, finish. That can be 20 to 25 minutes. You can also, of course, incorporate the peel as an enhancement to your traditional facial protocol. And that can be in a 50 or 60-minute facial. And there you would have perhaps that first exfoliation step with a physical exfoliator. You would have that massage step prior to the peel. You would have a mask step after the peel. So it can be as quick and efficient as your guest wants, or it can be an enhancement to an existing facial, and then it only adds about maximum is 7 minutes if you're leaving it on for the full 7 minutes. Jenna, let me ask you, and you have to answer truthfully. When you do the peel on yourself, what's the longest that you've actually left it on yourself?
Well, in true esthetician fashion, I take everything to the edge. Having the license, I don't know. I guess we feel like we are like superhuman as estheticians. So I've had this on probably like 15 minutes before.
Well, I've heard 10, 12, and the peel is efficacious, and it's, if you're offering, let's say, some enzyme peels, some single acid peels, this would probably be your more medicinal peel, but it also will self-neutralize. And so it's not the type of peel where, if you go 1 minute over, you're going to have some third-degree burn on your client's face. So of course, the guidelines and the recommendations in terms of how long to leave the peel on should be followed, but you also should not feel like you need to have, stress out if you forget or you're doing something in your treatment room and you leave it on for 8 minutes instead of 7. So this is fine. I would like to show you a couple before and afters. So I'm going to share my screen again so that we can see some of the results. And, before and afters are amazing. They are also the bane of my existence because it is so very challenging to properly take a before and after that shows the effect of a product. But we have two here. This is from our own Forever Institute in Geneva. And here you see, what I see the most is a reduction in redness, which is amazing after a peel, kind of a more unified complexion. I also see, if you look at the mouth corner, a tightness in the skin, which is one of the benefits I personally love the most. Immediately post peel, I really feel like I'm, nice and tight, and fine lines have been reduced. So those are the benefits that I see here. And then this actually, Jenna, this is from another Heyday esthetician. She's out of LA. She shared this and tagged us on her Instagram. So here you see different types of benefits. Here, what I see is, of course, the glow. And I see an incredible change and improvement in terms of pores, cleaner pores. This is probably due to some pretty heavy extractions, I would imagine. And just a much finer grain or finer texture of the skin. And so again, there is where you have, the various, the multiple benefits. It's like every skin type will benefit from something from this peel.
I will also say that I have used this peel for the décolleté as well. So if you happen to be in a spa that offers like body treatment add-ons, this would be beautiful to use on the chest, which is so commonly full of hyperpigmentation from years of sun damage, and we spray our perfume there and then go out in the sun, which worsens the hyperpigmentation. So it's a concern of so many clients out there, and this does work fantastically.
Yeah, it is great. I've also, I've not experienced this myself, but I know of estheticians using this on the back. If you're doing a back facial, or, this would be probably more adequate on a teenager or someone who's still experiencing a lot of those teenager types of breakouts. You can certainly use it on the back, and on the back, you would use the normal skin standard, 3 to 5 minutes. Is that what you would also recommend for décolleté?
Yeah, I mean, everyone has a different level of sensitivity, but yeah, normal is like standard, I'd say 5 to 7.
Good. So let's play a little bit of Q&A, and I want to share a few of the questions that we typically get. So again, the first and one of the most important has to do with, how can you say that this peel is vegan and nut-free if we have lactic acid and mandelic acid? And so again, the answer to that one is because these acids are all lab-made, man-made. They're synthetic versions of these acids. Let's talk a little bit about contraindications. This is another question that we get very frequently. So we've already discussed that, you can use this on all skin tones, including darker skin tones. You can use it on all skin types, including sensitive. You can use this on teenagers. There's no, if you feel like your client can benefit from it, there's no kind of age cutoff. I mean, obviously I wouldn't use this on an infant, but anyone starting in their teens, 15-ish, having breakouts, you can use this on all ages. What are some of the contraindications? Who are some of the people that you would not want to use this peel on?
Yeah, a few important ones actually. You would not want to use this peel on anyone who is nursing or pregnant, and that is because of the salicylic acid that's present in the formulation. You also, for the same reason, would not want to use it on somebody with an aspirin allergy. That one is easy to forget. And it's also something that a client might not tell you outright. So it's great just to look over your intake form and see if that question is on your present form. If not, add it because it is important. Another one, you would want to make sure that your client has not had any recent facial waxing. I usually say 24 to 48 hours that they haven't had any waxing on their face, of course, wherever the peel is being applied. If they had a leg wax, that's fine. And then of course, this isn't so much a contraindication, but just be very careful applying this around the lips and the eye area. Again, because of the gel-like consistency, there's not too much worry of this running, but everyone is a little more sensitive around the eyes. So just make sure that you stay on this orbital bone and that you don't go any further because there is risk of it getting into the eyes and causing irritation. And then a few other things to keep in mind would be that your client would avoid retinol and any AHA products in their at-home skincare for 48 hours following the peel. They will have just had a heavy dose of exfoliation, so there's no reason that they should be adding additional strong cell turnover after the peel. We'll talk about adding gentle cell turnover after, but like retinols and AHAs, just tell them to leave those aside for 48 hours. And of course, don't go out in the sun. No sunbathing right after this peel, no sunbathing anyway, but if you are going to be in the sun, absolutely make sure your client has a broad spectrum SPF.
Yeah, for sure. And we always say, in terms of the protocol, I don't think we've mentioned this yet, but regardless of whether you're doing the peel in its shortest, quickest fashion or using the peel as an enhancement to your facials, you want to make sure that that facial treatment ends with you applying a broad spectrum SPF to your guest so that he or she is leaving protected from the sun. Now, since we're speaking of the sun, one of the things that I like about the peel is that you can use it year round. It's not a peel that you have to completely stop in the summer. You just have to, assuming that you're spending some of your summer working indoors, like normal life. You don't want to do this peel if you're about to go to your beach vacation. You don't want to do this peel if you know that tomorrow you're going to play 18 holes of golf. So as Jenna just mentioned, be conscious of sun and sun-related activities. And of course, we're more in the sun even during normal life in the summer than we are the rest of the year. However, if you are working your entire summer and your work is indoors and you wear a proper SPF, as you should anyway, every day, you're fine to continue to offer this, to benefit from this peel in the months between, let's say, May and August. So that's another thing that I love about it. And it's another way to think about its versatility. You can use it year round. So what are the typical side effects that you know, as you're having a consultation with your guest, what are the typical expectations that you give her in terms of, you know, what she can expect post-peel?
So pretty much everyone leaves with some amount of rosiness. I honestly think most of my clients leave looking fabulous because it brings a bit of life and circulation back to your skin. I haven't had anyone leave my treatment room looking alarming with this peel, but it's always good to tell your client that a little redness is normal, even 48 hours after the peel. So just set that level of expectation with them. And a little mild flaking would also be normal, but I explain that as you know, we just did a peel, and a peel is exfoliation. It's stimulating cell turnover. So what you're experiencing is shedding of those old, discolored, dull, dead skin cells. Let them flake off. We want that process to be happening. That is the whole point of why we're getting this peel. So they should expect that flaking to take place within like the 48-hour range after receiving the peel.
Thank you. I just noticed that we have a Q&A on why can people with aspirin reaction not use it? So it's people who have an allergy to aspirin. And the answer, and Jenna, correct or complete me if I'm incomplete or incorrect, but this is because of the salicylic acid. So salicylic acid and aspirin are related molecules. You can think of salicylic acid. I always say it's like the cousin of aspirin. And so if you're allergic to aspirin, you will be most likely sensitive to salicylic acid. And so this is, again, this is true of any peel that would have salicylic acid. You want to stay away from using, you know, using that on your guests with allergy aspirins. Jenna, is there anything you would add?
Oh, that's exactly right. I mean, I remember my mom telling me back when she was a kid, they would like crush up aspirin and use it as a spot treatment because of the salicylic acid. So of course we have much better options these days, but that's because they are like the same molecule.
Yeah. And then we have another question from Julie. How long should the client be off Accutane prior to the peel? Do you have a recommendation? I mean, do you see a lot of clients that are on Accutane?
Yeah, I mean, we actually do. I would give it 3 months of being off Accutane completely. It does take a while for it to leave the system entirely.
And this you recommend on most superficial AHA or BHA peels? Yeah, that's a really great question. And I will add this to our conversations about contraindications. I think 3 months is also, I think that's a very safe and conservative answer. But again, Accutane is, I mean, it's a miracle drug. It's also extremely powerful. So to make sure that it has run completely through the system. Thank you for those questions. I was going to add on, piggyback on what you were talking about in terms of side effects. I've experienced, just like I've experienced tingling of 1 up to 4, I've experienced 0 side effects whatsoever. Well, a little bit of, I like you said, rosiness. It's a prettier word than redness. So a little bit of rosiness to flaking. And again, when I've experienced flaking, it's been around the nose, around the corners of the mouth, and like around the corners of the eye. My theory is it's the areas that move the most, but they're also, you know, slightly more sensitive areas. But certainly this is not anything that would prevent you from going back to work that afternoon, or, you know, going to a social engagement the evening of the peel. Let's talk for a minute about cost and price and how to, you know, how to market this in your spa. So the peel is, as you mentioned, the box comes with 20 paquettes. It doesn't retail since it's not a retail product, but it costs the esthetician $79. So it's just under $4 per treatment. This is, of course, your cost. It's not taking into account the rest of the products that you're using throughout the, you know, the protocol, but that's the pure peel cost. So if you are adding this peel to an existing facial, what do you recommend, Jenna, in terms of an enhancement? I mean, I know this will of course depend on, you know, your market and your geography and your other menu prices, but in general.
I would say 50 to 75 is a perfect range for adding this as a peel enhancement. I mean, it's even easier to justify that price with this peel compared to other peels I've worked with, just because they're, again, it's like 5 peels in one. So as an esthetician, there's so much to talk up when you're, I mean, I hate the word selling, but when you're selling this peel to the client, you can talk to the benefits of all of the acids and go on and on about their benefits. So $50 to $75 is actually a fantastic deal for how much you're getting. And then if you were to incorporate that into like a full facial, I'd say once you're done, it would sit at around like 125 to 150-ish.
And I think I like this as an enhancement, personally. I think especially now it's so relevant. You know, you said we're in peel season, but even throughout the holiday season, keeping your skin glowing during the crazy stressful holidays, and you have to go to all these holiday parties and deal with your families and, you know, all of that. So I think you can, and it's also nice for your customers to see something, for your guests to see something new on the menu. And so you can really highlight it as, you know, either a fall enhancement or a holiday glowing, bright and glowing skin type of enhancement, and kind of create a little bit of excitement and a little bit of newness in your menu. And then let's talk a little bit about the frequency of the peel. I know we discussed being able to do it year round. What is your typical recommendation for your most loyal clients who come to you regularly? How often do you like to see them for this peel?
Once a month is like the sweet spot for me. And that sits very comfortable with Heyday because we do like monthly facial memberships. It suits the skin very well because the most healthiest skin is on a 28-day cell turnover cycle. So once a month, every like 4 to 6 weeks, doing this peel works so well. And I know from experience, I have clients who are very loyal to Heyday and come in monthly specifically for their full facial, of course, but always with the brightening peel as an enhancement. If you have a client out there who is like very into peels or has like significant skin damage, like hyperpigmentation, or if you have somebody who is in more of a hurry to see results, specifically like brides out there, you can do, I call it more of like a peel intensive or peel boot camp series. And you could do one of these peels every week for 4 weeks. No more than 4. But for 4 weeks, you could see them every week do this peel. And as long as they're following the aftercare that you give them and they're wearing their sunscreen, their skin will do beautifully with it. So either the option of doing this monthly or taking someone to the next level and doing a once a week, 4-week cycle with this peel.
We love to do that at Forever Institute in Switzerland. My dad, Dr. Pola, is a big fan. He recommends this typically, or we highlight this, you know, I like the peel boot camp verbiage that you use typically in April and October are the times. You know, you shouldn't do this more than twice per year on a guest for sure, because it will create a little bit of inflammation. But the end of, you know, the end of winter, moving into spring, kind of like spring cleaning almost philosophy. So we like doing this in April. April also typically doesn't have crazy sun because again, you know, all of the potential side effects that we discussed will be more prevalent at peel number 3 and peel number 4 when you're doing over 4 weeks. And then October he loves, again, because it's like repair all of the bad habits and damage advantage of summer, all the, the things that you subjected your skin to, and again, prepare your skin for winter and for the holidays. So that's definitely something to keep in mind. I have another question here. Should higher Fitzpatrick skin types be on melanin inhibitor prior to the peel? So we do not, and Jamie answers, I believe it is all Fitz friendly, but maybe consider easing them with a shorter application time. That is the most perfect answer. Thank you. So no, we don't typically recommend melanin inhibitor. Again, as Jenna mentioned, in terms of protocol for your darker skin types, your darker skin tones, your higher Fitzpatrick skin types, you want to make sure that you're staying on the 2 to 3 minute application. So a shorter time frame, as those skin tones are sometimes counterintuitively, but they are more sensitive. So that is a great clarification. Thank you. So we've talked about the peel, what it is, the blend of acids, how it's like 5 peels in one. We've talked about the different ways to use it in your protocols as a standalone, as an enhancement, the different times of application, durations of applications. We've talked about contraindications. Let's talk about at home. So you've done a peel. Your client is glowing, a little bit rosy, perhaps. You send her home. What do you tell her in terms of home care recommendations?
Oh my goodness, so important. Aftercare is one of my favorite things to talk about with clients, but also like any esthetician that I'm training. It is your duty to let the client know what they should be doing at home. You are setting up your client for success, and if you don't, you are doing a disservice to yourself as a skincare professional and them. They spent on a peel. They are there trusting your expertise. It is your responsibility to let them know how to care for their skin after receiving a peel. Of course, like the basics, they should be going through their cleansing and moisturizing every day. SPF is a must. It's not optional. Especially after a peel, they need to make sure they are, number one, applying, and number two, reapplying. So making sure that they have a broad spectrum SPF. The SPF 23, the protective day cream, is perfect. All seasons, all skin types, never feels heavy or weighed down. This is like number one recommendation. But then extras, like what else can they be doing at home to further the results of their peel? The gentle refining scrub, absolutely. I think I have it here. Yeah. Gentle refining scrub. This they can use like 2 to 3 times a week to encourage more cell turnover. Remember, we said that they're not going to do any intense exfoliation after the peel. They're not going to use their retinols or AHAs, but absolutely they can use the gentle refining scrub. It's a gentle enzyme polish, which will smooth the texture of their skin. Should they be experiencing that flaking, it'll help to just smooth them out. And it will stimulate gentle cell turnover just to enhance the results of the peel. So send them home with this. It will never be too harsh. It is good for everyone. And then also send them home with the pigment perfecting serum. A good serum is a must after a peel. We have just removed so much from the skin, and as we know with serums, it's a much smaller molecular size than a moisturizer, so it goes so much deeper into the skin. Post peel is your best time to use a serum, so make sure at least your client has a good one, and if they are shopping for one, the pigment perfecting serum is perfect because most people who are well suited for this peel are concerned with some level of hyperpigmentation. As we discussed, it's usually linked to inflammation, and that can be from acne conditions, sun damage, hormonal conditions. So this is for absolutely everyone, and the texture of it, it just smooths onto the skin so velvety soft and absorbs quickly. They'll follow with their moisturizer and then their SPF.
And then they'll be happily living ever after with the most perfect skin until they come back and visit you in a little under 4 weeks. So wonderful. Well, thank you. Thank you, Jenna. This has been so fun. I always love doing these master classes with you. I end up learning something every time. So I appreciate your expertise and your esthetician perspective, which adds so much.
Thank you for having me.
Of course. So to those of you who attended, if you have any last minute questions, we still have the Q&A that is open, and a couple things to note. So the recording of this masterclass, as I mentioned at the beginning, will be sent to you in an email post-class, and then it will also live on our YouTube channel. It'll probably be posted there by the end of this week. If you've not visited our YouTube channel, there are a lot of videos, really helpful videos. You'll see Jenna, you'll recognize her on a number of them. Product knowledge videos, there's also a number of other protocol videos. So please go take a look. Also, please make sure you follow us on all of our social. I know some of you heard about this webinar by email, some of you heard on Instagram, perhaps some of you heard on Facebook. So thank you for being a part of our community. And again, please follow us on social. And of course, if you haven't signed up for one of our, for a wholesale account with us, you can do that on our website. It's alchemy-forever.com. And then you go to the section, which is all the way to the right for skincare professionals. It's super easy. You fill out a form and then we grant you access to a wholesale account, which enables you to purchase this professional only peel and also back bar sizes of other products and retail size products at wholesale. So it's the easiest way to order products from us. And we are doing free shipping. I should have started this by saying happy belated National Esthetician Day to all of you all, to you, Jenna, and to those of you listening. That was Friday. So we ran a free shipping promo and we decided to extend it to the end of today since we were having this webinar. So if you need to replenish the peel or if you would like to try the peel, if you haven't yet, this is a great opportunity to do so without any shipping costs. Let's see, there are two other questions. Is the Cantig Brightening Moisture Mask too active to use after the peel? From Julie. So I will start, and then Jenna, if there's anything that you'd like to add. I love the brightening moisture mask after the peel. It is a great complement to the peel in terms of all of the benefits, and I find that it actually even enhances the glow benefits of the peel. I will say, however, and this, you may have had this experience, and this may be why you're asking the question, sometimes upon application, it will increase the redness first. It's like, I call it a tunnel. You have to then go through the tunnel, and at the end of the tunnel, you have like glow plus, plus, plus. But it's possible for a few minutes to have a little bit of increased redness. It can last maybe up to an hour, but not, not more so. The reason that sometimes happens is because the mask, like the peel, is not pH balanced to the skin. So, the skin has a pH between 4.5 and 5-ish. A peel, any peel that's acid-based will of course have a much lower pH. As you noted, if you saw on one of the initial slides, our peel is typically about 3 of pH, and our mask is usually between 3.9 and 4.1. So also a little bit acidic, not as acidic as a peel, as our peel or any other peel, but it is a little bit acidic. And so when you're putting something, that has a slightly acidic pH on top of skin that has just been peeled, you will sometimes have a little bit of that redness. But to me, the tingling or the added redness is, as Jenna was saying, it's just because it's working so well. And again, you manage those expectations with your guest, even at the beginning when you're explaining to her that she'll probably be a little rosy, a little pinkish, but the benefits of the mask post peel are really, really wonderful.
Agreed.
Jenna, does that match your experience?
Yeah, perfectly said. I like the tunnel analogy too. That's really cool. Yeah, it's really just all about communication. Probably from experience that, redness is common right when applying this peel, but it does subside. So post-peel, just set the client up for expectations of being a little more rosy, but it'll go away.
Yeah, and the end result is
Yeah.
worth the extra tingle.
Totally.
Wonderful. Well, thank you all. Thank you again, Jenna. Thank you for all of those who attended, and I hope you have a wonderful rest of your day and a great week.
Thank you, everyone. And thank you, Anna. Thanks for having me.